Now Habersham is proud to sponsor interviews with the candidates for the May 24th political primaries. We hope by viewing these personal interviews, you'll get to know the candidates who will be making decisions that impact your life, your family, and your livelihood here at the local and state level in Georgia. We hope you'll vote May 24th, and we hope you'll be more informed in that process by hearing from the candidates themselves in these one-on-one interviews sponsored by Now Habersham. This is Now Habersham, and today we're speaking with Joan Jones, a candidate for Clerk of Superior Court. Welcome, Joan.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. Let's talk just a little bit about formal education you've had in your lifetime that has prepared you for a position as the Clerk of Superior Court. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can. I have been certified with the Carl Vinson Institute with the University of Georgia. I have continuing ed through the University of Georgia. I have paralegal training. I have 27 years of experience.
What about training or experiences you've had along the way, either your positions, your career, that have prepared you to be the clerk?
Okay. I have worked with Ernest W. Nations. He was a very good mentor to me. I worked side by side with him. I learned everything. I give credit to him. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for him. Mm-hmm. I've worked in the courtroom. I have been side by side with many judges. I have worked with families. I have worked with children. I have been a coordinator for the Citizen Panel Review, which is to help the judge and also to be able to help DFACs. I have that training also. I've been the coordinator, and that's for Habersham and Stevens. And I felt, that if I can do work with two counties courts at the same time, I can work with one county court. Mm-hmm. And I've had the ability and knowledge to work one-on-one with mentors. And I say my 27 years of experience should get me where I need to be.
I see. Now, I attended the political forum a few days ago, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce and the Farm Bureau, and you felt passionate about a number of issues. And so share with the audience now, what do you think are some of the challenges in the clerk's office?
Well, I believe that the individuals that work there need to be very dedicated to the people. Those people help pay your salary. I believe they need to be cross-trained. I believe that there needs to be, I would say, more dedication to the people. I believe that we need to be more passionate because the individuals that come in, that we need to give them the utmost service, strong service. They are the ones that help pay your salary.
You brought up an issue about charging fees for passport.
Yes, sir.
I sat in the audience and I wasn't clear about what that issue was about. I've traveled to 40 countries over the planet in my lifetime, and I'm now on my fourth passport.
Right.
I've always just gone to the post office or mailed it in.
Right.
I don't quite, and I think there are probably some viewers here today, and also people who were sitting in the audience that did not understand what you were speaking about. So maybe you could explain that a little bit to the viewers.
There is a $25 process fee.
At the clerk's office.
At the clerk's office.
Mm-hmm.
That $25 processing fee is personally gained by the Clerk of Superior Court. I believe.
Okay, you're saying the current system, and frankly, I'm ignorant of this, so I don't know if this is something that goes back 3, 4, 5.
This is something that's been going on ever since my opponent has been in office.
Okay. So tell me about this processing fee, because when you go, say, to the post office or you mail it in, you just pay the renewal fee.
Right. When you first get the passport, That $25 processing is included at the post office. That goes to the post office, but it doesn't go to the
You are
postman.
teaching me because I did not know that.
Right. This does not go to the postmaster or anyone that works there. If it's processed through the clerk of a superior court, then it's processed there. He gets a $25 processing fee for personal gain. I will not take the $25 for personal gain. I believe that needs to go to the county coffer. And you see, if you're using county facility, a county paid employee to make you a profit of $25, I will not do that. The processing is not wrong. There is there is a right to do that, but the way you process it is what's wrong.
What else do you see? What are some other changes you might make, or problems or challenges that, because you've worked in the judicial system in Habersham County for quite a while?
Yes, 27 years.
27 years. So what else? You're probably familiar with things you might improve. What would they be?
Well, one thing, you have to be a strong coordinator. You have to be able to coordinate with the judges, prosecutors, parties. And you have to work closely to make sure that you are not subpoenaed many, many times, because that is a waste of taxpayers' money. I am going to be a steward of the taxpayers' money. I will be protecting people's money because it is hard-earned money. And, that is one of the things, doing subpoenas so many times, officers sitting there that has worked all night, sitting there all day long, and then having to go back to work again, that is a safety issue.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question. What about the issue that was brought up the other night about, and this isn't directly related to the clerk, but it is related to the layout of the courthouse and the functionality of the courthouse. And it was a little odd, but it did seem like there's a lot of interest in where the probate court office is located, in the basement, and the furthest step away you could possibly take from the elevator, passing lots of other offices along the way. Do you have any thoughts about the layout of the people you would work with the probate court?
Well, I do work with the probate court. Sometimes they transfer cases to me. Mm-hmm. Probate court is just right down the hall from me. I know it's an issue because there's a lot of people that are handicapped. There are older people that have a hard time there. And so it does need to be in an area that's more sufficient for the people. Mm-hmm. It is a big problem.
Are you registered to vote?
Oh, of course. Definitely.
I've noticed, I lived here 27 years too, so I guess you started at the courthouse and my family moved here at the same time. I have noticed as a journalism professor and just also a debate coach up at Young Harris and other places that we tend to allow, to some extent in Georgia, state representatives, state senators, and perhaps others to have sidelines or business jobs that in fact are made better or more profitable by decisions that people make in their offices, which just astounds me in Georgia that that's okay to do. We have attorneys who operate as if they're a lobbyist representing large corporations and then going into the chambers and sponsoring bills that profit their constituents that they represent. So let me just ask you, as I've asked everybody else, do you own an outside business that somehow you would profit from by being the clerk?
No, sir. I will be fully dedicated to the people. I've been loyal to the people. I have a very big passion for the people. I enjoy being for the people. I am not a politician, I'm a servant.
And it's called public servant?
Yes.
Okay, one final question for you. If you're elected to this position, how will Habersham County be better with Joan Jones in the position of Clerk of Superior Court? How will we be a better community?
Well, I'm going to work very hard, be very dedicated, my experience, strong leadership. I believe that we need strong leadership. I believe that the public needs to be respected and strongly respected, and treat people like you want to be treated.
Great. We've been speaking with Joan Jones, candidate for Clerk of Superior Court. Good luck, Joan.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Dick Stafford, and you're watching now Habersham. And today we have as a guest David Wall, who's the incumbent and a candidate for Clerk of Superior Court of Habersham County. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about your formal education, and even though you are an incumbent, our audience might not know about how you have been prepared to be the clerk for the Superior Court.
Okay. I was born and raised here in Habersham County and product of the Habersham County school system. Graduated in 1984 from Habersham Central. I went on to Gumpton Jones College in Atlanta and graduated from there in 1987. 1988, I was licensed as a funeral director and embalmer and worked in private business and funeral service since I was 15 years old, actually. I was county coroner from January of 1993 until the end of 2004, because January 1st of 2005, I took over as Clerk of Superior Court after the election in November of 2004. And once I took office in 2005, I had by that time completed the training for new clerks, which was in November of 2004. I started the certified Clerk of Superior Court training through the Carl Vinson Institute at that time, and it's about 13 courses, two of which are electives, and completed the training. Typically that takes about 4 years to complete that. You can use those hours also as your continuing education credit hours. And I completed the certificate training and became a certified Clerk of Superior Court in 2008 through the Carl Vinson Institute.
Mm-hmm. So, David, tell me, though you're an incumbent and you've already been in this position, and it might not seem to some people like a more obvious leadership position in the county. Nonetheless, you are a leader, and on that particular turf, you are the leader. You know, assigning court cases and keeping the schedule and all that sort of thing. So, what do you think? What are some challenges in Habersham County? First of all, as a resident, and second of all, as the clerk. What are some things we need to work on in our county?
Right. Well, many things in the clerk's office is, I think, misunderstood by some people. I think there needs to be, I guess, a little more education of the public on what the clerk's office actually does and the functions of it. Most people associate jury duty with the clerk's office because that affects a lot of people, and they are most familiar with that. Of course, we have civil cases and criminal cases with Superior Court. And here in Habersham, we also have state court and magistrate court come under the clerk functions of those courts, come under Clerk of Superior Court. Unless someone has had a case and had experience, they're just not that familiar with those areas. In Georgia, the Clerk of Superior Court is also the custodian of vital records, not vital records, but real and personal property records. And those affect everyone who owns property, all those who have mortgages, plats, any kind of lien that might be filed against a person that affects property, and which also affects their abilities to obtain loans or sell their property. Many times people, and probably one of the biggest challenges with overall the Clerk of Superior Court's office is people that come to the office that have a need that we are prohibited from law from being able to help them with. We cannot practice law without a license, and even if a clerk of court is a lawyer, they still cannot practice law under their official duties as clerk of court. Those, in that respect, it's actually a protection for that person as well as protection for the county, because if you start giving legal advice or practicing law, even if you are a licensed attorney, you could become very easily a party to and stand liable for anything that would be associated in the matter.
David, anybody who's gone to the clerk's office to look at plats and try to figure out who owns a piece of land or where a particular land is or the size of the land, the second you walk into that office and see all those gigantic books, you kind of go, there's no way I would even know where to start. So let me ask you a question. Is the nature of keeping plats and information about the ownership of land changing technically with technology, and if so, how?
Oh yes, that has changed dramatically over, especially the last probably 10 years. Years ago, everything was the big books, placed in the big books you mentioned. Today, we're no longer printing those books. We've moved into digital imaging, and they're available in date ranges. Back right now to 1992, a few years ago when the economy took a hit and funding was not available through the Clerk of Superior Court's Cooperative Authority, they had to suspend the historical re-indexing project, which allowed us to be able to go back further and further to digitize records to make more available electronically. That has been opened back up now. However, we have been working in-house as time allows and funding is available, that we can digitize records and go back as far as we possibly can. Many of the very old records have become, the books are deteriorating, and the information's got to be preserved or we're going to lose it. But we are working on moving back with that. All of the plats are already imaged. We are right now working on, we've almost got all the imaging done about 50 years back now, so we're starting to work on the indexing of those, where that someone can go in and check the index and then find the book and page that it would be referenced to.
Thinking a little bit outside of the world of Clerk of Superior Court, let me ask you, thinking of either volunteers, hobbies, outside activities, things that you do to enjoy yourself, so that not everyone in Habersham County, particularly new people who may have just moved or may not be familiar with you and your work history with the county, tell us a little bit about yourself personally so we can get to know you a little bit better.
As I mentioned, I have been in Habersham County all my life. A lot of my interests have been in public service. I've been in Cornelia Kiwanis Club for more than 20 years, I think about 24 years, 23 years now. I have been a Mason and involved in Masonry since 1986. I'm a Scottish Rite Mason and Shriner. Used to make a lot of the trips with the hospital van from Atlanta to Cincinnati, Ohio, to the Shriners Children's Burn Hospital. And of course we have a crippled children's hospital over in Greenville as well. I have been involved in the local area with the Northeast Georgia Antique Auto region, have an interest in antique autos and hobby with that. And we host a antique car show every August up at the county fairgrounds, and the profits that we raise from that, we donate those to things like scholarships at North Georgia Technical College. We donate money to the soup kitchens in Clarksville and Cornelia. We have donated to Relay for Life for several years now, and we have to DFACS and several other organizations as our funds allow.
Can you think of a specific goal you would have if you were reelected for your job, your position as clerk? Or is there something you'd like to improve on or change or make better?
Oh yes, we live in an ever-changing world, and of course we see changes every year with the legislature and that sort of thing. But over and above that, this imaging projects that we have going on at the office, I would love to be able to see those things completed. I have been involved with e-filing, where attorneys may file their documents from their office electronically. We have civil case e-filing is in place, and we're accepting universal commercial code financing statements. That way we are already accepting e-filing of deeds. That is going on also now in plats. We are hopefully going to be able to, by fall, start accepting e-filing of criminal cases. And I'd like to be able to continue down that path. It is a lot less expense on the taxpayers to be able to do it this way. It is a lot less expensive to be able to be more technical than it is to have, as you mentioned a few moments ago, the large books that we have. A lot of people don't realize probably what those books cost. They're a specialty item. Each one of those books are tremendously expensive. We no longer have to spend money on those books. So we're trying to work smarter, and many times we hear people use the phrase work smarter, not harder. And in doing these things too, it makes things flow a little better and quicker. We don't have to expand employment, though I would like to think that everyone had a job, but at the same time that's expensive too. And I try to always keep the taxpayer in mind in all the decisions that we make. But I'd like to be able to continue down the path of expanding and being a little more technical with our records.
We've been speaking with David Wall, incumbent and candidate for the Clerk of Superior Court. Good luck to you, David.
All right, thank you.
We hope you've benefited from these interviews sponsored by Now Habersham. And we want to remind you, be sure to vote May 24th.